Hello friends, Jeff here and welcome to Squadron and welcome to Squadron Facebook Live. I mean, the weekend is in front of the door, the sun is out, it's lunchtime, I'm hungry. But before I go, I would like to talk to you a little bit about tools. Now, many times I get a question like, what tools do I need to build a model? And usually it comes from people who either got back into the hobby, they're starting into the hobby like novices, or simply parents that want to build a model or buy a model for their kid. So what do I need to build that model straight out of the box? And it can be very confusing because when you do a search and you type in model tools, you will get like an array of different kind of tools for all different kind of purposes, and it can get pretty confusing. So basically the question is, what tools do I need to build a model straight out of the box? And the answer is very simple. You don't need much. With an investment between $30 and $50, you get the tools you need and they will last you a long time. So let's go over it. Let's go over some basic tools that you need to build a model. And I'm not talking about painting. I'm just talking about building the model and just gluing everything together. No airbrush, no compressor, just tools. So the first thing is very important. The first one is very important, is the sprue nipper. Now, this is absolutely most important tool that you acquire first is the sprue nipper. And make sure that you buy a good one, a premium one. They're not that expensive, but you have to pay attention to the top end here, the beak, that it's very slim and very narrow, so you can easily put it between the sprue and the part. Because if you go to the dollar store or Harbor Freight, or somebody gives you one, or you have something in your toolbox that looks like this, that ain't gonna work. You have to really have the refined point in there, on there. This one you can use when you cut your toenails, but not with this. So first thing you need to purchase is a good, decent sprue nipper. Second of all, you have a hobby knife. It's very important. Now I got two samples here. One is a scalpel, one is a hobby knife. Now you might say, what's the difference? Well, the difference, there's not a lot of difference. Of course, this is a surgical instrument. It's designed to cut into people, so it's razor sharp. This one is designed to do hobby crafting or whatever. Now they're both sharp, but I think, and this is again personal preference, I think that the scalpel is a little bit more sharper than an X-Acto knife. Now I might be wrong, don't kill me. This is just my personal experience. Now the scalpel, the blade, they're both number 11 blades. The scalpel might be a little bit sharper, but it's also the material itself, the blade itself is made out of a somewhat softer material, so it doesn't last as long. While this guy, you can cut a lot more than with this guy. Now, the advantage of an X-Acto knife is that it has a very pointy tip, and it's easy to cut some small pieces off, or pick up some small pieces, prick it, glue it, and then attach it. So if you would ask me what would you recommend, well, it all depends. Of course, if you only want to build one kit, or if you only want to build just to try it, then I would advise to get yourself an X-Acto knife. On the other hand, honestly, since they're both inexpensive, buy both. You will have them for, if you take care of it, you will have it for a lifetime. Plus the blades are interchangeable. So very important, number two, a scalpel or a model knife. Third on the list is a tweezers, a good set of tweezers. Now tweezers are also very important to pick up small pieces and all that. And again, don't cheap out, don't go to the dollar store, don't go to Walmart and get one of those post-stamped tweezers. No, you get a stainless steel one, a needle nose tip, very sharp. I got these tweezers 25 years ago. As you can tell, it's the curved one. For somehow it's more ergonomic, I guess, to manipulate it, to glue pieces. But somebody gave me this 25 years ago, and that's still number one on my desk. So that proves that it lasts for a long time. So get yourself a needle nose, straight or curved tweezers. Again, very inexpensive. Then we get to the sanding sticks. Again, I don't think I have to explain that. Get some sanding sticks. Now, if you have some sandpaper in your garage with different kind of grits, that's fine too. But a sanding stick is a little bit more easier to use. I think it is rigid. It's still flexible, but it's rigid. You can apply more pressure. You can reach places that you can't do with your finger or anything. So sanding sticks very inexpensive stuff, but very important. And they, believe me, they last for a long, long time. They can even last for a couple of years, depending how much or how many times you build a model, but they last for a long, long time. And then there is the issue of glue, of course. Either to glue a model, you have to have plastic glue. Now there are two kinds out there. There is the gel tube, and there is the liquid cement or plastic weld. Now one is very liquid, it's like water. The other one is like a gel. Now the gel one, that's more for, if you're thinking about buying your first model for a kid, I would go with the gel tube. It both does the same thing. It fuses the plastic together. They each contain methanol, ethanol, and ketone, like a toluene or an acetate kind of an ingredient that will melt the plastic. So when you apply either one to the surface and you put two pieces together, they will fuse together. Now, if you're an adult, you go with the plastic with the liquid cement. If you're a kid, I would advise giving them one of those, because knocking over the bottle is a disaster, and it will happen. It will happen. It happened to me many times, and it will happen a lot more. But if you knock over this, everything underneath there will melt. So to play it safe, for kids, for adults, but they both work. Now that's it. That's about it as far as basic tools. This is what you need just to build a model straight out of the box. And that's the tools I use 95% of my of the time I'm building a model. That's the tools I use. There's nothing, no secret about it. This is it, very basic. Now, if you want to up the ante, if you want to become more professional, or you become more competitive, if you say, hey, you know what, I like this hobby, I really would like to continue, but I would like to get a little bit more into it. So then you open up a whole new ball game, and then you get to a higher level, and for a higher level, of course, there are higher level tools. And then sky is the limit. You know, there's so many tools out there that each have their own little thing to do a specific job. So, but I would say, okay, let's go to the second level. If you decide to continue with this hobby, what should you get? Well, first of all, I would advise you to get a cutting mat. Now, the cutting mat, the word says itself, you can cut stuff. You know, you can cut plastic sheet, you can cut resin, you can cut photo etch without damaging the table, without damaging your tool, and even without damaging the parts you're cutting, because a cutting mat is a little bit soft, but still enough to absorb any kind of cutting you do. Anyway, also, it will give you a little bit of a mental kind of a working area. You know, when you put this in front of you, then this is where you work. This is where everything is concentrated. And it will help you. Trust me, a cutting mat is a good investment. They sell them in all kind of forms and sizes. Like for us, for the Squadron one, you even get some measurements on there. So that's something that you definitely should have on your workbench if you continue to build models. Second of all, we all know that these days modeling becomes not so much more for kids anymore. Although we would like to encourage kids to build models and get a little bit more active with their hands, more and more the models become more state of the art, more complicated, and these days almost 75% of the models you have to deal with photo etch. These little thingies here. And photo etch, of course, it's a different kind of modeling. Photo etch, it's made out of brass or copper or whatever kind of material they make it these days. So you have to apply some different methods or different techniques to apply the photo etch to the model. Now, as I mentioned in my previous videos, I'm not really a big fan of photo etch, but I know also for a fact that these days, if you really want to make a model accurate at the manufacturer, sometimes they cannot make parts out of plastic because they're so tiny, so small, they would disappear. So they have to put or supply you with a photo etch thread. Now, to bend photo etch, it's not all that easy. It can be sometimes, depending, of course, of the project and the subject and how far you want to take it. But to bend photo etch, the first thing you should invest in before you buy something else is a flat nose pliers here. Again, the word says itself, it's flat nose. It has a flat smooth surface on the inside, and you can easily put the photos in between and then try to bend it around or try to bend it into shape. So which is actually a very inexpensive instrument, and it will already help you about 50% of the way. Another thing you could, in conjunction with this, is a little anvil. You know, this is stainless steel. It's very heavy, but it has really crisp edges. So again, you can use it as a platform to put the photo edge on, to bend the photo edge. You can also use it for to cut some plastic sheet to make a line. It's inexpensive, but something that you should have on your workbench too. So those two together will already do 50-75% of your work in bending photo edge. Now, if you're hardcore and you want to go all the way, then you should invest in this guy, which is the photo edge bending tool. This one is from the Model Workshop. It's called the Hold and Fold, and it's a state of the art. A little bit pricey, but if you're like a shipbuilder or somebody who works a lot with photo edge, this is a must. You can tell by the detail, and you can look it up. You can read everything about it on the internet, so I'm not going to go into detail. But this is something that you should consider if you really work a lot with brass. Then we have the regular stuff. If you have to drill a hole in your model for any kind of something, then of course this is you can't omit this from your desk. So this is the drill set. It goes, I think, from 1/4 millimeter all the way to 1 millimeter, and then you have to have the pin vise, so you can put those bits in there and then just make a hole. But again, not all that expensive. But if you want to continue in building models, adding stuff, you need to think about getting one of those. Then we have the punch and die set. I don't know if a lot of you guys know what that is. I'm sure you do. But a punch and die set is, you can either make rivets out of it, tiny rivets, or you can make discs or holes. This one is from Squadron. It's the miniature sub-miniature set. Again, a little pricey, retails about $70-$80, but take care of it and it will be your best friend for a long time. So that's another thing. Now, if you have a punch and die set, you should think about getting one of those brass hammers, copper hammer, because if you use like a forced hammer, you're gonna ruin these prematurely. So if you get like a punch and die set, get also one of the hammers that should go with it. Another thing that I think is important eventually is a caliper. Now you might think, why do I need a caliper? Well, you know, sometimes you want to upscale stuff, you want to downscale stuff, sometimes you want to measure the thickness of plastic sheet, the thickness of copper wire, the thickness of photo edge. This is very, very handy. And it used to be that digital calipers were very expensive. We're talking about $150 all the way to $500-$600. These days they're very fairly priced. They're really decent. You don't have to spend a lot of money. Now you might say, well, I have one of those plastic ones. I got it like a free gift. Well, unless you want to become a pipe fitter, that's all fine and dandy, but you cannot get those things. They're not accurate enough. This will give you an accurate reading for whatever you measure. And it's very important, like I said, when you upscale something to a bigger scale or a smaller scale, it's very important to know to the millimeter or to the thousandths of a millimeter what it actually is. And this will, it goes in inches and in millimeters, so both ways. So definitely get one of those. And then we call it the third hand. This is a simplistic design, but actually it does a lot of good things, and it helped me already doing a lot of helped me a lot with a lot of my work, and especially when you need some extra fingers. So what you do is that you clamp the piece that you're either working on or airbrushing, and then you can put it on a surface and it stays elevated. This works especially when you're airbrushing something. Let's say you have to do a propeller and you put it on a toothpick, but then after you airbrush it, what do you do with it? Well, simply put it in between here, put it on the table. It stays elevated, doesn't touch anything, and it can dry. Same thing if you're gluing something and you want it to become a little bit avoid contact with anything. Just put it on there. Having a couple on your work desk won't harm. Also, if your wife is into crafting or into jewelry making, I'm sure she will be happy with this. Same thing if you're a fisherman and you want to work on your lures, this is the way to go. Now, we all been there, you know, we all went to a show, we all take our model in the back of the car in a box and we put some styrofoam there or whatever, and you know the feeling when you have to do like maybe 100 miles and there is the potholes, there is the railroad crossing, and it's like sitting on eggs, because you know every time you every time you get into a pothole, you can feel like you cringe, like, okay, what's going to happen to my model in the back? And then you arrive at the show and you put your box on the table, you open the box, and there it is, and oh no, my propeller broke off, the wheel snapped off, my antenna came detached, and worse, you don't have anything to fix it. So then the second thing is, where am I going to find somebody who has either glue, a tweezers, a knife, whatnot? So then you start asking stuff around, and of course everybody will say the same thing. Oh, I forgot, I didn't bring it, I'm sorry. So either you go out and buy something, or maybe you get lucky and somebody will help you out for a while. Now, we thought about this. So we thought, well, you know what? It would be a good thing if you go travel, let's have a tool travel case. So we put all the essentials in this little pouch here. You know, you have the glue, you can fill it with any glue you want or any substance you want. You can either put some alcohol in there, it all doesn't matter. You have the sanding sticks, you have the hobby knife, you have the decal positioner, you have the tweezers, you have the drill bit, the drill holder and bits. You have a little scissors, you have a flat nose plier, and of course you have the screw nippers. So all you need to do is get this in this pouch, put it in the back of your car, put it in your suitcase, and you don't have to worry about it. You're always covered in fixing something. So again, with Christmas, ladies, if you're watching this, this would be an extremely good present to give to your hubby or anybody you love. I would be very happy if I would find one of those under my Christmas tree. Last but not least, we have this guy, the rubber block. Now, you think like, why do I need a rubber block? Well, you need one, like I need one. And then you say, your next question is, what am I going to do with a rubber block? Well, you can do several things with a rubber block. First of all, you give it a name, you know, like a pet rock. This is a pet block. You give it a name. So guys, meet Gustav. This is Gustav, the rubber block. Now, he's my best friend. You know, we talk to each other once in a while, and he does all kinds of stuff for me. So sometimes it gets a little weird here, but now Gustav is, although he's made from rubber and he's hard, you know, be careful where I'm going with this, but he has a lot of characteristics that will help you. Now, remember when I talked to you about the cutting mat? The cutting mat is also fine to put photo etch on there and cut photo etch. Now, Gustav does the same thing. You know, you put the photo etch on there, you cut it out. It's soft enough that you don't damage the tool, you don't damage the photo etch. You also have an elevated angle. You know, it's about an inch thick, so you can easily manipulate the knife or whatever you do. It has straight edges. You can even use them as a photo etch bender. You can do that. Again, straight edges. You can draw lines. You can even cut plastic sheet with it. What else does it do? Actually, it's a very good doorstop. You know, if it gets some hot in the room, you just put Gustav in front of the door and he will keep it open. If you don't like anybody, and there's a couple of people here I don't like, I would like to throw Gustav as hard as I can, and he will take care of the problem. Also, and this is very important, it's a weapon. Now, let's say that at night your home gets invaded, you can help with Gustav's help. He will take care of the problem. So again, everybody, every modeler, and I'm telling you this, I'm serious, every modeler should have one on their workbench or on your nightstand in case at night you're attacked. So Gustav will be there, and this is something. So absolutely a must on your workbench. So, well, I think I covered it all. There's a couple more tools. You know, sky is the limit. You can spend $15,000 in tools. but you really don't need it. Just invest in the essentials, and they will be good to you. If you're good to them, they will be good to you, because they will last for a long time. So now, of course, you're all glad that my talk is over, and we're going to go to the most important thing of the hour, which is the drawing of last week's raffle. Now, last week the question was, what was the actor that was very popular in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, had a long career, went into the military, joined the military in World War II, and ended his career, I think way in the 60s, I think, as a brigadier general. And the answer was Brigadier General Jimmy Stewart. James Stewart, the actor, one of my favorite actors actually, he ended his career in the Air Force Reserve as a brigadier general. So now we're gonna have Nicole draw a name. Let me see the bag here so everybody can see. And all your names in there. So Nicole, do the honors. All right, see this? Ty Gooken. I hope I say that correctly. Ty Gooken, if you're watching this, you are the proud winner of this Tiger tank. Please let us know. Call either our customer service or let me know through the help desk, and we'll with your information, and we'll get this tank out to you as soon as possible. Hopefully before Christmas. Then, of course, we're going to go to the next segment of our Facebook Live, which is the new question for next week. And it's going to be, we're going to raffling off Gustav's brother and a cutting mat. It's a nice thing to have, very valuable, something to absolutely have to have on your workbench. So this is what we're going to raffle off. And the question is, excuse me, I'm going to make it a little bit more difficult because with Google, it's no fun anymore. You can either Google something very quickly, but I'm going to make it a little bit more difficult and up the ante a little bit for you guys to give me the correct answer. Now the question is, you're all familiar, or most of you guys are familiar. You can look it up. The new kit of Edward, the Edward P51D. Edward came out with after the Chattanooga version. It came out with a new version, and on the box art, on the nose art of the plane, it says the word Frenesi. It says Frenesi. Now, I would like for you to look that up. I don't want the name of the pilot. I just want what it means, what Frenesi is or stands for, and also the person that created the word, that was responsible for creating Frenesi. So I need two things. First of all, what it is, what Frenesi actually stands for, and the guy who created it. And that's going to be your question for next week. So please leave it in your comments. Or send me an email through the help desk with the correct answer, and then next week you will be in the BS bag for the drawing for the rubber block and the cutting mat. And I think I covered it all. I guess been talking for a long time. So again, like usual stuff, please tell your friends and family. Subscribe on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. Facebook, please tell your friends and family about us. Go to our website, that's squadron.com, to see what's new and what's coming and going. If you live in the Dallas area, again, we still have our Christmas shop, our Christmas pop-up shop up until the 1st of the year. So if you're in the Dallas area, please stop by on Saturday between 9 and 3 to have some coffee and cookies and browse the store and BS with us. And other than that, I think I covered it all. So just before I go, I wish you all a good weekend. Stay safe, stay warm, stay healthy. And I'll see you guys next week, 12 o'clock Central Time, Friday noon. Jeffy here, signing off.